Yo, 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 what is going on, you guys? It's your boy Wahpoh here, back with a brand new Marvel Strike Force video. And in this video, you guys, we're going to talk about how to play Cosmic Crucible. Now, this video is going to be intended for brand new players just getting started in the game mode, or some mid-game players that are maybe struggling. So if you suck at Cosmic Crucible, then maybe you could take a few things out of this video. Now, there's a couple topics in here that we can cover a little bit more in depth. So just let me know if there's any particular topic you want me to cover a little bit more in depth. We can make a separate video about it. But let's get started. This video is going to be pretty long, you guys. I am going to have timestamps for every single one of these chapters, but this is the best way that I can do this in sort of like a PowerPoint format. So I really hope you guys enjoy this. So the chapters that we're going to be covering today are going to be, number one, what is Cosmic Crucible? We're going to be talking about scoring. We're also going to cover global/season rules. Then we're going to talk about team placement. Chapter 5, we're going to talk about important CC teams/kits. And then Chapter 6, we're going to talk about attacking strategy. Chapter 7, sacking/burn attacks. Chapter 8, defensive strategy. Chapter 9, touch a little bit on theory crafting, and then we're gonna wrap it all up in a nice little conclusion chapter. So grab a snack, make a hot pocket, do something, do whatever you got to do. Let's get right into it. All right, Chapter 1, what is Cosmic Crucible? So Cosmic Crucible is a game mode that they released about 2 years ago. But essentially what it is, it's a single elimination, 8-man weekly tournament consisting of 3 trials/rounds. You unlock this game mode at level 65, so I am currently running a baby account. I just unlocked this game mode. I'm having some fun with it, but I'm starting to run into some bigger teams like once you get out of bronze. I will say this, the rewards between 1st and 8th place aren't really much different. So even if you fall flat on your face and you go 0-3 for the week, it's not going to really be much different from what the 1st place is getting. However, the league change is pretty significant. So you're really going to start getting some of the better rewards once you get in Plat and above. In Plat, you're going to start getting some of the Diamond Orbs. And then Masters, I believe you get the Master Diamond Orbs, which are the ones that don't give you, I think they give you like a minimum of 2 and above. Anything below Plat, so if you're like in gold and silver, you're going to be getting the Elite 7 credits, which is good, you know, if you're like barely starting out or you're a mid-game player. But don't really concern yourself too much about the rewards. I'm going to be completely honest. Cosmic Crucible isn't a game mode that you're going to be playing for rewards. You're strictly going to be playing it because it's fun. And it is one of the more rewarding game modes in the game if you put the time into it. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting 6 defense teams, and then we're going to have, I recommend you have anywhere from 6 to 8 offense teams to use. So it's going to require anywhere from 12 to 14 total teams in order for you to actually be able to compete in this game mode and do well. All right, Chapter 2, we're going to be going over scoring. So scoring in Cosmic Crucible is based on performance. You're going to acquire these things called victory points, and I'm going to show you guys what this victory point breakdown looks like. So for a full clear, we're going to get 7,500 victory points. That means that you cleared an entire room. You have 3 chances to do it, so you're also going to get an attempt bonus. If you one-shot the room, you're going to get an 800 victory points VP. So 800 points is granted if you are able to clear that room in one shot. If you have to 2-tap it, so if you have to use 2 attacks, 2 attempts to clear that room, you're going to only get 400. And then if it takes you 3 attacks, but you still clear it, you're still going to get the 7,500 full clear bonus, but you're not going to get any attempt bonus, so that'll be a 0 VP for you. For knockouts/kills, you're going to get 5 victory points per knockout, so you can get a total of up to 25 per character that you killed for that particular room. The health of your characters also matters as well. So you can get up to 20, and then it subtracts 1 victory point per 25% of the character's remaining HP. Okay, so again, you can get up to 20, so if you clear a room and all of your characters are above 75% HP, you're going to get a total of 20 victory points for the healthy characters. Let's say that all of your characters end up with less than 50% HP. That's going to be 2 victory points per character that you're going to be missing for that particular attempt. Turn bonus starts at 30 victory points, very similar to the health bonus. So turn bonus, you're going to start at 30 VP, and then it's going to be -1 victory point per turn taken. So let's say you go into a room and it takes you only 3 attacks to clear the room because you're just, maybe hitting into like a hand team or something, and it takes you 3 attacks. You're going to get a total of 27 victory points. So you start at 30 and you subtract 1 for every turn that you take. All right, moving on to chapter number 3, global and season rules. This one's going to be a pretty important topic, so let's get right into it. All right, once a new season starts, be sure to place your defenses according to the strengths of each room. So right now, these are the 3 strongest rooms, in my opinion, for Season 12, are the first 3 rooms: Invulnerable, What You Wish For, and When It Rains. I made another YouTube video talking about these 3 rooms and why these ones matter compared to the other 3. But in these rooms, we're also going to have this joint operation text right underneath each of these rooms. They're all going to share, all 6 of the rooms are going to have this joint operation, which is basically the global room, okay? Every single season, we're going to have a different global rule, and then we're also going to have different room rules for each season. Each season is going to last about 5 to 6 weeks, I believe, and they're all going to have different room rules and different global rules as well. So joint operation, what it is on offense and defense, Immortal X-Men characters gain this. On assist, they're going to get Safeguard. Now, this is a separate text from the bottom line below it. So on defense, all characters are going to get 20% max health and 10% damage. So every character that you're placing on defense, no matter which room it's in, is going to get an extra 20% max health and 10% extra damage. Immortal X-Men, though, as the global rule, is just going to get this top text right here, which is on offense and defense, they're going to get that assist, or when they assist, they're going to gain Safeguard. Okay, so the rules can dictate whether a particular counter works or not. So you have to pay really close attention to what the rules are and what the global rules are, and then base your strategy off of that. One suggestion that I have is just to watch your favorite Twitch or content creator on YouTube to just get a bit of an edge as far as like what strategies to use, so you can either copy and paste what they're doing or give yourself some idea to theory craft a team for yourself. All right, chapter 4, we're going to talk about team placement. Now, team placement doesn't just apply to Cosmic Crucible. It's basically how Marvel Strike Force works and how the character positioning of this game works. Now, I can make a whole separate video talking about team placement and how it works, but in order to save time in this video, we're only going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about adjacent attacks and chain attacks. So let's say a character like Gladiator that spawns with Taunt is on the board. Ideally, the best place to put your tanks is going to be on the corners, okay? And the reason for that is because Taunt is something that is going to pull all the aggression to that particular character. So let's say a character like Super Skrull, right, that we don't want to get targeted right off the bat. We're not going to put Gladiator adjacent to Super Skrull. We're going to put him somewhere in the middle or somewhere off to the far end of where that taunter is to avoid Super Skrull from getting hit, so that Super Skrull can get to his ultimate and do all that fun stuff that he does. Now, a chain attack is basically an attack that is going to hit the primary target, but it's also going to chain to some of the adjacent targets. Now, sometimes it'll chain 4 times, sometimes it'll chain 3 times, and it doesn't say what order it's going to go. All we know is that it's going to target, if we have a taunt on the field, it's going to target our taunt first, and then it's going to chain to some of the adjacent targets next to it. But there's a couple effects in the game that can stop the chain attack from happening. And those effects are going to be counterattack. Let's say Endgame Thanos had a counterattack. If they use an ability that has a chain attack and it starts on Gladiator, it's going to chain to Thanos, but it's going to stop. So it's not going to continue to chain to Super Skrull and some of my other characters that I have over here that I'm trying to keep safe. Another ability that's going to stop it is going to be stealth. So let's say Gladiator's on the very corner and... Let's say Gladiator's on the very corner and he has Taunt, but our endgame Thanos has Stealth. If they use a chain attack, it's only going to hit our Taunter. It's not going to chain to the endgame Thanos, and it's not going to chain to some of these other characters. So the Stealth character being adjacent to the Taunt character is going to stop that chain attack from going through. And then the last and final one is going to be Evade. So let's say we have a character like Nightcrawler instead of endgame Thanos, because Nightcrawler does have Evade on spawn. If they target Gladiator with the chain attack, it's going to hit the Gladiator, but it's going to stop the chain attack on that Evade from Nightcrawler, so it's not going to hit some of our 3, 4, and 5, right? That's the best way that I can explain it. Now, again, this could be like a 20-minute long video that I can make separately, talking about the mechanics of some of the interesting mechanics of this game and team placement. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to make a video like that. All right, chapter 5, we're going to be talking about important Crucible teams / kits. So here is a quick list of all the teams in Marvel Strike Force that have Cosmic Crucible callouts, CC for short, CC callouts in their kit. Here's the full list. Let me know if I missed any in the comments down below. We have Illuminati, Cabal, Immortal X-Men, Superior 6, Masters of Evil, New Warriors, Tangled Web, and Unlimited X-Men. All right, the big one that I want to talk about is actually going to be speed bar manipulation. The reason I want to talk about this particular effect is because Marvel Strike Force revolves highly around speed bar. Now, if there's any characters in any game mode, not just Cosmic Crucible, that can manipulate speed bar, those characters are going to stay relevant for a very, very long time. A good example would be Emma Frost. Emma Frost is a 4 to 5 year character, but she has a passive ability where she can subtract 10% speed bar from the enemy team. So even though she's been absolutely power crept in terms of her stats, people still use Emma Frost because of the speed bar manipulation. So out of all of these Cosmic Crucible teams that are on this list, there's 2 particular characters that I want to point out. And those 2 characters are going to be Captain Britain and Iron Patriot. Now, Captain Britain is on the Illuminati team. I made a video about the Illuminati team as well, and I talked a little bit more in depth about Captain Britain's kit. But essentially, his passive, as a standalone character, if you use him on offense or defense, he's going to stop characters from gaining speed bar, okay? Now, Iron Patriot does depend on having 2 other Cabal members for his speed bar manipulation to work, but basically he can do the same thing that Captain Britain does, except he does depend on having 2 extra Cabal members. But essentially what these 2 characters are meant to do is to shut down characters like Super Skrull, Kahori, and even Apocalypse as well. So Apocalypse, whenever he does his ultimate, he's going to get an empowered punch right after, and characters like Captain Britain and Iron Patriot are going to stop that Apocalypse from being able to punch immediately after ulting. But it does shut down big characters like Super Skrull as well as Kahori. They're not able to gain speed bar. Granted, Iron Patriot if he has 2 Cabal members, but Captain Britain can do it all by himself. But shutting down characters like Super Skrull is super important. And then Kahori she's a new character. She's got an amazing kit and she has amazing stats. She gives herself 200% turn meter on spawn. So just having that ability to do that against these types of characters is going to be massive, and I think they're going to be main staples to the game, no matter if they're power crept and they don't have as good enough stats as some of the newer characters that are released in the future. All right, chapter 6, we're going to be talking about attacking strategy. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what type of player are you? Are you the type of player that has more fun being able to full clear your opponents, or do you want to make it harder for your opponents by setting tougher defenses? That's something you have to ask yourself is, are you going to have fun and will you have more fun in Cosmic Crucible by being able to full clear your opponents and having a little bit more on offense? Or would you rather make it harder for your opponents by setting those tougher defenses? And the trade-off is having a weaker offensive tools to attack with. If you'd rather go the full clear route, the ideal score is anything above 50,000 victory points. Basically, it means that you one-shot every single room. And some of the tips for an attacking strategy are going to be paying close attention to the room rules, using smart counters, as well as utilizing your plug-and-play characters effectively. All right, moving on to Chapter 7, we're going to be talking about sacking / burn attacks. Now, what is a sack? A sack is when you sacrifice a team in order to pull certain abilities from certain characters or cause certain effects to wear off. So a good example of this, let's say you're fighting an Odin on defense, right? And you don't have the tools or the offensive team to take out this Odin on a one-shot. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to bring in a certain team to try and pull some of the abilities from the Odin, mainly like the special and the ultimate if possible. So that way it makes those follow-up attacks easier so you're not walking into an Odin ultimate, for example. Right? So the 2 main characters that I want to talk about and that are relevant to the meta today are going to be Black Knight and Mephisto. Now, Black Knight will not retaliate if exhausted. So Black Knight's passive is that if he has charges, he's going to do a retaliate attack, a very powerful retaliate attack that scales off of his max HP. So putting an exhaust on this character by doing a sacrifice team prior is going to help you not have to deal with that massive damage that he's going to put out from his passive. So what does Exhaust do exactly? So Exhaust is a status effect that's going to lower the armor, damage, focus, and resistance by 20%. It's also going to increase the damage that you're dealing to that particular enemy by 20% per stack. So in Cosmic Crucible, you get a maximum of 3 attempts per room. So if you have to sack a team once, the next follow-up attack, you're going to do 20% extra damage, and they're going to have 20% less stats. If you have to exhaust twice, then you're going to be doing 40% extra damage, and they're going to have 40% less stats. Now, depending on how wide you have your roster and what characters you have built up, there are ways to deal with Black Knights now without having to do a sack team. Now, the second character we're going to talk about is going to be Mephisto. So the big line in this passive is going to be the 2 or more exhausted. So if you're struggling against a Mephisto on defense in Cosmic Crucible, the best thing that I would suggest would be to use 2 throwaway teams to pull Mephisto's ultimate and then clean up on that final attack. All right, moving on to Chapter 8, we have defensive strategy. Now, this is a really important thing to remember. Ideally, if you can create more RNG for your opponents, the greater your chances are at a defensive victory. I'm going to say that again. If you can create more RNG for your opponent, the greater your chances are at a defensive victory. I'm going to show you guys my favorite defense that I've been running in Season 12, and it's going to be this room number 1. Now, the whole idea behind this team is solely based around the room 1 rule. So on offense and defense, if you have a raider or skirmisher that gets pushed below 50% health, that character is going to gain 200% extra damage. So the idea here is that my opponent is not going to use the right counter in here. He's going to push my endgame Thanos, and my endgame Thanos' passive is going to proc, and that's a 3-diamond endgame Thanos. So when he procs that passive under 50% health, it's going to absolutely delete his team. The Thanos, the OG Thanos over on the left here, this Thanos here is actually just here to feed energy to Kahori, because Thanos is going to give ability energy when an enemy dies to a adjacent cosmic ally. So the idea here is that my opponent is going to come in here, he's going to not bring in the right team. So 2 things are going to happen. He's either A, going to push my Thanos below 50% health and get absolutely deleted, or B, he's going to bring in the wrong team, he's going to completely get wiped out, and then Thanos, OG Thanos, is going to give all that ability energy to Kahori. So when he tries to do a follow-up attack, Kahori is going to absolutely delete him on the next turn. It's a beautiful team. I've been getting a lot of defensive victories with this if my opponents aren't bringing in the right counters. What I'm trying to get at is you want to try to force your opponent to use a more expensive counter for one of your rooms, and what that's going to do is it's going to cause them to not have the tools to clear some of your other rooms in some of the later attacks. But the concept behind the defensive strategy is to play to the strengths of each of the room rules every season. All right, moving on to Chapter 9, we have Theory Crafting. This is probably my favorite part of the video. So with Theory Crafting, you can actually use Blitz and RTA to test your teams on offense. And if you want to test like a particular team against any certain defenses, what I'd suggest is to grab a buddy from your alliance, go into Alliance War when you guys aren't obviously playing a war, and then have them set up that defense that you're trying to fight into and use it against that defense in war. Now, granted, you're not going to get like all the Crucible bonuses and stuff, so just be mindful of that. But if you're trying to test out characters, because of their speed bar, and you're trying to figure out who goes first, or you're trying to see if certain mechanics are going to work, that's where I would suggest doing it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put up some characters on the screen that are going to be amazing plug-and-play characters. Obviously, a lot of these characters on here belong to certain teams, but there are some exceptions where you can pull them off of their team to use them in certain situations. So the first 5 characters are just going to have amazing kits. Odin, Super Skrull, Lady Deathstrike, Kahori, and Old Man Logan. All of them just have incredible kits. Obviously, there's so many on this list that you can put up here, but it can only put 5 at a time. The second set of characters are going to have very unique mechanics. So Sasquatch and Black Knight are going to be pre-taunting tanks. Again, obviously, they do a lot more than just pre-taunt, but you guys get what I'm trying to get at. We have 2 characters here that do an anti-revive mechanic in Black Cat and Northstar. Black Cat does it on her passive, and Northstar does it when he gets to his ultimate. And then Guardian will actually apply offense up on spawn to the entire team. So this isn't just for the Alpha Flight team. This is actually for everybody. So you can use him as an incredible plug-and-play character for that if you want offense up on spawn. The next set of characters do awesome mechanics as well. So we have 2 characters that apply anti-safeguard in Ares and Apocalypse. We also have 2 characters that do turn meter manipulation in Emma and King the Conqueror. There's more, but you guys get where I'm getting at. And then we have an Echo here for an anti-assist mechanic from her passive. A lot of people are using Echo against like Odin compositions that are on defense to stop Odin from doing his assist mechanic, which just benefits off of Odin's special. And then the last ones down here at the bottom, these are all characters that have a turn 1 stun. They're relatively fast characters, except for like Dormammu. Nova's pretty fast himself, but characters like Nightcrawler and Spider Weaver have a turn 1 stun that can be pretty devastating and can really help you just get through a particular counter if you're not quite sure, or if you feel like you need some control and you need some speedy characters. Nova and Nightcrawler and Spider Weaver are really good in that regards, but all characters down here have a turn 1 stun. So this is just a real like bite-sized portion of the theory crafting and characters that have really good plug and play ability. But I hope this does help you guys, and mostly you really just want to have fun with it, right? Experiment, try things out in Blitz, try things out in RTA. Those game modes are not completely useless, and you can actually use them to your advantage in Cosmic Crucible. In conclusion, you guys, what I'd like to say about Cosmic Crucible is that the rewards do not outweigh the amount of time that's required to get good at CC. Yeah, it's not a game mode for everybody, man. Cosmic Crucible is really going to reward the players that put the time into it. The last and final tips that I have for you guys, I'm not going to do a summary of all the chapters that we went through, but I will say this. Room rules matter. Okay? Room rules matter. Okay, so every season, there's going to be some new room rules. There's going to be some global rules. Pay very close attention to those room rules because they will dictate how a particular character works or how a team works or what counters what. So pay very close attention. Efficiency is always going to be king in Cosmic Crucible. So if you're doing an offense-heavy, attacking strategy, your opponent, you're leaving your defense susceptible to your opponent being able to one-shot all of your rooms. So that means that you have to be as efficient as possible. And lastly, watch Twitch and YouTube content creators for ideas. So a lot of times people are going to be looking at envoys or looking at certain Twitch streamers like myself, Mobile Gamer, Dorky Dad, Dossier, guys like that, Zoboy, guys like that, Saw Owner, guys like that. You know, they're going to just provide really awesome ideas for you to put for your Cosmic Crucible defenses, and they're going to be able to provide you guys with counters as well for some teams that maybe you've been stuck on. That's all I got for you guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope this helped. I tried to shorten this and make this as short as possible, but I know that Cosmic Crucible is a very complex and complicated and sometimes frustrating game mode. But if this video helped you at all, please drop a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. And if this helped, please share this video with any of your Alliance members. I put a lot of time into making these for you guys, and I just hope that you guys enjoy it. I appreciate all the support that you guys have showed me over the last couple of months, and I'm going to continue to make these videos as long as you guys allow me to. So if you have any questions, comments, cheers, jeers, leave it in the comments down below. Let me know what I can improve on. Let me know if there's any topics that you'd like me to cover a little bit more in depth. But aside from that, I will catch you guys in the next one.